Yeah, man.
You have an HIV.
I talk later. I talk. Ask me later morning. Call right now. All right, everyone. Please do your attendance for hour one. Please do hour one attendance. Okay. Hopefully everyone has done their attendance for hour one. The attendance should be completed for hour one. Let's just make sure everyone is feeling well today. Let's start with Jada. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Your mic's not on, Jada.
What?
How are you today, Jada?
I'm fine. You hear me?
All right, maybe my speaker's off. Say that. Can you say that again, Jada? How are you doing today?
I'm good. You hear me?
Jada, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Hanan, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're welcome. Jude Ali, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Very good. Jude Bagash, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good. Caddy or Kadai, how are you?
I'm good today, thank you.
Very good. Musab Fahad, how are you? Musab? Can you hear me, Musab? Muhammad, how are you today, Muhammad?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good. Omar, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about?
I'm doing very well. Regda, how are you?
Thank you, I'm fine.
Great. Shahad, how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Very good. Lebna, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, teacher.
Great. Faisal, how are you? Are you there, Faisal? Can you hear me, Faisal? Oh, okay. Looking for the mic. Okay. No problem. All right. All right. So let us go back and spend a couple minutes talking about writing. Yesterday, I said we want to talk about subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement. All right, so I'm going to show you a PowerPoint here concerning subject-verb agreement. Because yesterday, when I saw some of you writing, about 50% of the time, we got the subject-verb agreement correct, and about 50% of the time, we needed some help. So let's look at subject-verb agreement. Okay.
Yes, teacher. I'm here, Basil.
And no, I just wanted to say hello. That's all.
Okay.
So let's look at subject-verb agreement today. And then after this presentation, we'll write a couple sentences like we did yesterday. Actually, I don't. All right, everyone should see,
Yes.
well, what happened there? Let's try that again. All right, everyone should see my PowerPoint, correct? Does everyone see my PowerPoint?
Yes, teacher.
All right, so we're gonna talk about subject verb agreement. All right. So if we had a test or assessment or quiz about subject verb agreement, a question might look like this. Okay, it says the foods that provide good, before we start, let's talk about what subject verb agreement is. Subject verb agreement is making sure our subject is the same number as the verb. And what does that mean? Now, we spoke over the last 2 weeks. We said that in a sentence, you must have a subject and a verb. Every clause, whether it's independent or dependent, must have a subject and a verb, regardless. Whether it's independent or dependent, it must have a subject and a verb. A subject, when you have a subject and a verb together, you have a thought, you have an idea. And as we learned over the last couple of days, the idea can be complete or it could be incomplete. Right, Jada?
Right.
All right. So when we talk about subject verb agreement, what we really mean is that the subject is the same number as the verb, or the verb is the same number as the subject. Meaning, if you have a singular subject, you need a singular verb. And what that means is if you have one subject, the verb should represent one. Ray talks with the S. Now, the tricky part about it is we add an S for singular verbs. When the verbs are regular, we add an S. And when the verbs are regular and plural, we don't add an S. So Ray talks, they talk, no S. Ray talks, they talk. Ray talks. Muhammad and Ahmed talk, no S. All right. So if we had a quiz or some type of test, the test, a subject and verb question may look like this. The foods that provide good nutrition is often the least tasty. A hamburger and fries, on the other hand, satisfy the tongue but clog the arteries. Anybody want to figure out, does anyone know which one is the right answer? Anybody
D.
want to try? No change at all. The foods that provide good nutrition is often the least tasty. A hamburger and fries, on the other hand, satisfy the tongue. So you say all are correct. The foods that provide good nutrition.
Maybe number A.
Okay. So we got 1D, no change at all, and 1A.
But Teacher, I have a question.
Okay.
Good nutrition. You talk about the food.
The good nutrition. Yes, we're talking about the food. Now,
So
this
it
is a
will be
very,
R.
okay. So you think it's R. So we got 1A, 1B, 1D. Any other answers? So you say it's the foods that provide good nutrition are often the least tasty. You think that's right? Are you confident?
I
You
don't
think
sure.
that's- You're not sure?
Yes.
You're right. You're absolutely right. All right. You're absolutely right. Why? Why? Well, let's break this this sentence down. Now, this is a very hard sentence. Okay, because we have it's actually a compound, it's a compound complex sentence. It's a very weird sentence. All right. So let's look at this. This is hard, but we're going to break it down in simpler terms in a second. Let's look at the foods that provide. Now, once you write in your notes, everybody should be taking notes. You see that provide good nutrition. I want you to I want you just to, in fact, I want everybody to write the sentence down right here. Write it down in your notes. I'll give you a minute to write it down. The foods that provide good nutrition are often the least tasty, semicolon. A hamburger and fries, on the other hand, satisfy the tongue, but clog the arteries. I'll give you a minute to write that down. The foods that provide good nutrition are often the least tasty. A hamburger and fries, on the other hand, satisfy the tongue, but clog the arteries. Okay. Now, again, this is a very difficult, this is kind of like the beginning question, just to get you to think. This is a hard sentence because it's a very complex sentence, a very long and convoluted sentence. But I want you to look, we're going to look at the big picture here for a second. It gives us the big picture. Let's look at the foods. Omar, what do you think the foods represent in this sentence, Omar? What do you
I think it's a verb.
Huh?
I think it's verb.
No, it's not a verb. It's not a verb.
Sorry, I don't know.
So if it's not a verb, what do you give me another guess? If it's not a verb, it's probably the what? What are the two things we need to make a
The
clause?
subject.
Subject. So the foods is the subject. Okay. Now you see that, Omar, you see that word that? You see that word that?
Yeah.
All right. That is called a relative pronoun. Okay. That is called a relative pronoun. So what I want you to, and the relative clause is that provide good nutrition. So I want you to circle, I want everyone to circle that provide good nutrition. Just circle that. We're going to make it easier. We're going to make it easier as we move through the slides, but I want you guys to see the big picture and how you can form sentences. Okay. So circle, so I want you to underline foods or write it as the subject. Foods is the subject. Then I want you to circle that provide good nutrition. I want you to circle that because that is what we call the relative clause. Okay. Now, the question may ask, Lubna might ask the question, teacher, why did we call that clause the relative clause? Well, it's the relative clause because it's not a part of the main clause and it's relative to something that's going on in the main clause, and that is the foods. All right. So meaning, what do I mean by relative? Meaning that it's modifying foods. Now, remember last week I said modify only means, it sounds like a big word, but it only means that it's giving you more information about something in the sentence. In this case, it's giving you more information about the subject, foods. All right, so we should have foods as the subject, then circle that provide good nutrition. That's our relative clause. Why is it a clause? Why is it a relative clause? It's a relative clause because you have a subject and you have a verb. Now the subject in that relative clause that provide good nutrition is that. Because as I said earlier, that is the relative pronoun. And what do I mean by relative? Meaning it's relative only means that it's referring to something. It's representing something. Because that clause is giving us more information about something in the bigger clause. So when you think relative clause, it's smaller. Okay. Is everyone taking notes? Everyone's taking notes because this is going to be, this is like how, yes,
Sorry for interrupting. I have a question.
yes.
Yeah, it's you mean relative clause? It's not important than main clause.
It's not important in the main clause, but I'm glad you say that because I'm glad you asked that question because I was about to say something relative to that. Now, I hope everyone's taking notes. You see that word
So,
that?
I also I have another question. Why when we use relative clause?
We use relative clauses when we want to give more information about the main clause.
So we add full stop or comma or
No, well, good question. You're jumping ahead of me. You're jumping ahead of me. All right. This is advanced English. Okay. But I want you to see the big picture and then we're going to break it down to smaller pieces later. So you asked the question, is it smaller or least important than the main clause? The answer is yes, it is least important than the main clause. Because all it's doing is giving more information about something in the main clause. Okay. Now, we call these relative clauses because it has a relative pronoun. In this case, the relative pronoun is that. Write this down. The relative pronoun is the subject of that clause. So the relative pronoun is the subject of the relative clause. All right? Because it's a clause, and every clause has to have a subject and a verb. The verb in this example is provide. Makes sense, right? Now, notice, I hope everyone's following me. Notice provide is plural because there's no S. Remember, if there's no S, it's plural for regular verbs. Look at our subject. Look at our main subject. Omar, what is our main subject?
Foods.
Foods. Is food singular or plural?
Plural.
Plural. So that word that is a relative pronoun that is talking about foods. So that means in this case, that is also plural. For this case, in this case. That means the verb that goes with that, which is provide, also has to be plural. You see how it's making sense now? Okay, so because foods is plural, that means that is plural. That means the verb in the relative pronoun must be plural. That makes sense? Anybody confused about that?
Yeah.
You're confused?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So let's go back. Foods is plural, right? It's more than one, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That represents what?
Plural. Plural.
Yeah. So that refers to foods. So that means that is plural too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's representing or it's referring to foods.
Yeah.
The verb that goes with that is provide. So that means because that is plural, the verb must be plural too. Make sense?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now remember that provide good nutrition. We circled it, right? We circled it because that provide good nutrition is a part of the relative clause. We can technically we could take that clause out and it's the sentence still would read correctly. The foods are okay. The foods are often least tasty. Everybody see that? So read it without the relative clause. The foods are often less tasty. Is that a complete thought? The foods are often less tasty. Or least tasty, rather. Least tasty, not less. Least tasty. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see that I could take that relative clause out and the main clause still makes sense. So
صح.
Teacher, I have a question.
okay. Go ahead.
Provide, it's a plural.
Provide is plural.
Yes.
It's plural.
But we don't add S.
Right. Because S, if you add S, that means it'll be singular. It's tricky. So just remember this.
Just
Take another.
the verb, when we add S for verb, it will be singular. If we don't add S, it will be plural. But the noun, if we add S, it will be plural.
Yes.
Why
yes.
like this?
I don't know. I didn't make
This
English.
is okay.
I didn't make English. You blaming me for it. Nouns. So I was about to say the same thing. Nouns, when you add S, is plural. Verbs, regular verbs, when you add S, is singular. Okay. Nouns, when you add S, plural. Write that down in your notes so you can remember it when you study. Nouns, when you add S, is plural. Verbs, when you add S, is singular. Nouns, when you add S, is plural. Verbs, when you add S, is singular. Remember that. Don't get confused. Okay. And that applies to all regular verbs. We'll talk about irregular verbs later. Okay. Somebody had their hand up. Recta, what's your question?
Can we replace that by which?
You guys are jumping ahead of me. So I probably should I opened up a rabbit hole. I shouldn't have went down. Okay. To answer your question, you could replace it with which. If you replaced it with which, then the meaning of the sentence changes a little bit. Why? That, write this down on your notes. That, we said that is a relative pronoun, correct? Anytime you use that, write this down. With everybody to take this down in your notes. anytime you use the relative pronoun that, it is what we call restrictive. 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 And all that means, that's just another fancy word meaning necessary. That clause is necessary to the main clause. It's what we call necessary information. Make sense? Make sense, Lebna?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Regda asks about which. Which is also a relative pronoun. Now, which is confusing because which could be necessary, what we call restrictive or non-restrictive. However, this is where you follow Dr. Ray's rules. Anytime you see which, just make it unnecessary. Put a comma and put a comma in front of it. Okay, and where do I get that rule from? I get that rule from Grammarly. It just makes life easy. Okay.
Teacher,
Just
I have
makes
a
life-
question.
Okay, what's your question?
Teacher, you said we write comma when we see which before
Which.
or after?
Before.
Okay.
Now, I don't want, I didn't really mean to go down this rabbit hole with restrictive clauses because it's really advanced and I really should be teaching you the basics first. I wanted you to see the big picture. I'm getting too specific now and I apologize that. But now that we open that can of worms, let's just go down it. So remember, that is always restrictive. Restrictive clauses never need commas. Write that down in your notes. Restrictive clauses never need commas. So you will never see a comma in front of the word that. You should never see a comma in front of the word that. Because that always represents a restrictive clause. And what do we mean by restrictive? Necessary clause. It's necessary information. All right. So as a rule, and I'm pretty sure there's a rule somewhere that breaks that rule, but for the most part, 99% of the time, you never put a comma in front of that. All right. So never put a comma. Remember this, it's going to be on a test somewhere next semester, okay, or this school year. Never put a comma in front of that. Ever, 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 ever. Why? Because that is restrictive. And all that means is that is necessary. Lebna.
Teacher, restrictive clause, it's similar for relative clause?
Yes. So a relative clause is nothing more than a modifying clause. And what does modify mean? Gives more information. Modify means
Not necessary?
hold on a second. So you can have two types of restrictive clauses. You can have two types of modifying clauses. You can have one that's necessary or one that's unnecessary. Okay. And like I said, I really should not be going down this, teaching you this yet, because it's kind of advanced, but I wanted you to see the bigger picture about subject-verb agreement, okay? So
Yes, but I don't understand what's the difference between relative clause and restrictive clause.
okay, so a relative clause is a modifying clause, is a clause that gives more information. You have two types of modifying clauses, two types. One that's restrictive and one that's not restrictive. Or you can say one that's necessary or one that's not necessary. Restrictive just means necessary. When you see the word restrictive, think necessary. When it says non-restrictive, think unnecessary. And all that means is if I take that clause out of the sentence, it won't change the meaning of the sentence. All right, if it's non-restrictive. If it's restrictive, that tells the reader, this is very important to the clause, and it should stay there. Make sense?
Yes.
So this is go, let's review that again. There's two types of modifying clauses. Restrictive clause and a non-restrictive clause. All right. So you can have a modifying clause that's necessary, or you can have a modifying clause that's unnecessary. So
صح.
all right. Now, in your notes, restrictive clauses never have commas in front of them. Okay. Non-restrictive clauses, unnecessary clauses, always have commas in front of them, a comma in front of it. For instance, if I change that clause, that provide good nutrition, and I change it to which, in this case, now listen, Rector, because you asked the question, I'm blaming you because you opened the can of worms, okay? I was trying to get out of the hole and you pushed me deeper in the hole. All right. Now, if I change that to which, then I actually need two commas. I need a comma before which, and I need a comma after nutrition. Now, write this down in your notes. Anytime you see two commas, that means any word between the two commas is not necessary. It's just modifying information that really doesn't change the meaning of the main clause. So anytime you see a comma and then some words and a comma, all the words in between those two commas are necessary. You can take them out and the meaning of the main clause would be the same. So
Yes.
all right, so let's go back to this example. The foods that provide good nutrition. Now we got another, notice no commas because that is restrictive, right? Now, the main clause in this part of the sentence is the foods are often least tasty. So if you have a test or you're trying to figure out the correct subject verb agreement, because if you look at this and you don't understand modifying clauses, you're going to just say, oh, okay. Okay, let's say you didn't know. You're going to look at this sentence and you're going to say foods provide, right? Because you're going to say that's the first subject is foods. This first verb is provide. So that's foods is plural. So provide would be plural. And then you're going to go nutrition and are, right? Because you're going to say, well, nutrition must be a subject. So nutrition is singular. So I need is. No. You have to understand this. This is how I got into the rabbit hole with the restrictive clauses. You have to understand that provide good nutrition is its own clause. And the main clause is the foods are often least tasty. So are goes with foods. That provide goes with that. Make sense? Are goes with foods, provide goes with that. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. Confused?
What is the question? I
Oh,
can't hear.
it's not a question. I just want to make sure that everybody understands. Omar, you were saying something, but your mic was off.
I want to say no.
You don't understand. Okay. What
No,
I want
I
you,
understand.
you understand? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I got myself out of that hole because I gave you guys a very advanced explanation. That's advanced English, what I just explained to you. But you need to know it for next semester, or maybe depending on the syllabus, depending on the university you're going to, you need to know it for next semester or the semester after it. Your English teacher will be, your English professor will be very delighted that you know that. All right. And this will help you out in your writing and boost your confidence. Okay. Let's go at C and see why satisfy is correct, right? It says after that main clause, then you notice you have that semicolon there. Everyone see that semicolon? All right. There's a Regda, you see that semicolon? Least tasty semicolon, you see that?
Yes,
Yes,
this is
yes.
more.
All right, remember, in academic writing, remember this, don't use semicolons. Okay? Just stay away from them. Just stay away from them. Not necessary to use. Because they can, remember, in academic writing, we want to be straightforward. We want to be clear and concise. Remember those two C words? Clear and concise, right? Coherency, cohesion, all right? We don't, Mr. Ray's advice, Dr. Ray's advice is not to use that semicolon, because that semicolon actually represents a conjunction. Okay. That semicolon actually represents a conjunction. And sometimes the reader might not know what conjunction you were referring to. So it's better, if I was writing this sentence, I would probably separate it, I would separate them into two different sentences. But, all right, so just, my point is stay away from semicolons. But when do you use semicolons? You use semicolons to represent a conjunction, either a coordinated conjunction, and in some cases, a subordinated conjunction. But it really should, you probably should use them to represent a coordinating conjunction. Because then if you try to use it to represent a subordinator, you're really into big trouble. So let me read it how it should look. It should say, the foods that provide good nutrition are often the least tasty, comma, and a hamburger and French fry. No, that should be but, because on the other hand, the foods that provide good nutrition are often the least tasty, comma, but a hamburger and fries, on the other hand, satisfy the tongue but clog the arteries. So in this case, that semicolon represents the coordinating conjunction but. Okay. All right. Now let's look at satisfy. The reason why satisfy is the correct verb. Can anybody tell me why satisfy is the correct verb in this sentence, in this example, in this sentence? Jada.
Because we're talking about two things, hamburger and fries.
You're so smart, Jada. What do you want to be a professor, right? Or a doctor?
I want to be a doctor.
Yeah, you're going to be a doctor for sure. You're so
Inshallah.
smart. You're so smart. Absolutely. Absolutely. A hamburger and fries, two things, plural. So you need a plural verb, satisfy. Okay. So notice, Trad, I want you to notice, look at those two commas.
Me?
You see those? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
See
yes.
those two, the comma after fries and the comma after hand? Then
Yes.
what did I say earlier about two commas? Everything in between it is what? Unnecessary, right? Everything in between it is unnecessary.
Okay.
All right. So let's read this sentence concisely. All right. It would be follow with me now. The foods that provide good nutrition are often the least tasty, comma, but a hamburger and fries satisfy the tongue but clog the arteries. Everybody see what I did that? What I did there?
Yeah.
Mhm. I took that on the other hand out, right? And why did I do that? I wanted to demonstrate to you that anything between two commas is unnecessary. All right. Now, I wish I could tell you that by showing you this example, I showed you all of the rules of subject-verb agreement, but there's some other rules that we should consider. Is everyone head? I know your head is probably spinning now. Are your heads spinning? Or you okay? You're following me? You okay to move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So all of this is saying what we said earlier. All of this is saying what we said earlier. If you have be careful now. If you have because yeah, just be careful, driving. If you have a singular noun, you need a singular verb. In this case, the elephant, there's one elephant. And what does he do, Jada? What does the elephant do, Jada?
Trumpets.
Trumpets. Trumpets. However, if we have two elephants to die, what does the elephants do? Caddy, could die, caddy. What do the elephants do?
Trumped.
What?
Trumped.
Trumpet, right? Right. So we already covered that already. So singular nouns need singular verbs. When the verb has an S, that means it's singular. When a verb does not have an S, that means it's plural. Okay, particularly when we're talking about regular verbs. All right, but there's some other rules that we need to know. All right. So be mindful of these rules. We'll take a break after we finish this. The chicken wing and the pork rib sit untouched on Ruth's plate. Okay. When you have the word and, it's combining two things. That means you have so even though you only have one wing and one rib, together they make two. Make sense? So we need a singular, excuse me, a plural verb. I'm sorry. We need a plural verb. All right. Take this down in your notes because you're going to see this on a test also. Anytime you see the word excuse me. Anytime you see the word each or every, and it comes in front of the noun, the subject noun, okay? It's always singular. So anytime you see each, in fact, anytime you see each, every, anybody, anyone, everybody, everyone, okay? It's always going to be singular. Every student in the class is happy, not are happy. Every student in the class is happy. All right.
Also
Each student in the class is happy. Everybody in the hospital is sick. Everyone in the hospital is sick. All right. But if I said all the people in the hospital are sick. All the students in the classroom are happy. Make sense? But anytime I say each, everyone, each one, everybody, anybody, anyone, anytime you see one or each or every thing, it's always singular. Every chicken wing and every pork rib sits. See that? Every chicken wing and every pork rib sits. Everybody got that? And
teacher,
then
when you
you
use it, it's mean what?
sits.
Oh, sorry.
So the rule here is every time that you see the word every or each, okay, anyone, everybody, everyone, each one, it's always singular. Okay, make sense, Hanan?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next rule. In this situation, no matter how many singular nouns you have joined within, the subject is still singular. So it doesn't matter. You can say every chicken wing, pork rib, slice of pepperoni pizza, hot dog, hamburger, steak, and fries sits is still singular. Anytime you see that word every, it doesn't matter how many things you list, still singular. Okay. All right, now there's some conjunctions that go together, either or, neither nor, not only, but also. Be careful with these. There's a rule. So anytime you use either or, neither nor, not only, but also, you need to be careful with these. There's a rule that goes with these. So not only the employees, but also their boss wish this shift will end. All right, you have two subjects, but only the closer one in this case counts, boss. So look at this. It says not only the employees, but also their boss. So it should not be wish. It should be what, Shahad?
Yes.
It should not be wish. It should be what?
Wishes.
Wishes. It should be wishes. Now the rule here is anytime you use either or, neither nor, not only or but also, the verb, oh excuse me, the verb, yes, the verb that's closest to the last subject, it takes on that form. In this case, boss is the last subject, so it should be wishes because boss is one. All right. Now notice if employees was the last subject, then it would be wish. This rule applies to either or, neither nor, not only, excuse me, either or, neither nor, not only, but also. All right. So you can say either either Mike and the boys are going to the play, or either the boys or Mike is going to the play. Let me say that again. Either Mike and the boys are, oh no, that's not right. No, I said that wrong. either Mike or the boys are going to the play, or either the boys or Mike is going to the play. Either Mike or the boys are going to the play. Either the boys or Mike is going to the play. Okay, that's a tricky one to remember. So you got to remember that one. If you remember that one, you probably, your teacher probably doesn't even know that rule. Okay. All right. Now these indefinite pronouns are always singular. I already told you that. Each, either, neither, anyone, anybody, anything, everyone, everybody, everything, no one, nobody, nothing, someone, somebody, something. They're always singular. All right, we already said that. Each, either, neither, anyone, anybody, anything, everyone, everybody, everything, no one, nobody, nothing, someone, somebody, something. They are always singular. Sir?
صح.
Write those down so you
Yes.
remember. Write those down so you remember. Each, either, neither, anyone, anybody, anything, everyone, everybody, everything, no one, nobody, nothing, someone, somebody, something. They're always singular. Right? Even when they seem plural. Even when they seem like they're plural, they're always singular. Each, either, neither. Anyone, anybody, anything. Everyone, everybody, everything. No one, nobody, nothing. Someone, somebody, something. They're always singular, even when they seem plural. Okay, everyone got that? Jude, Ali, you still with me?
Yes.
All right, now.
Teacher, please,
Go back.
can you repeat the last sentence you said? Even what?
Even when they seem plural, even when the
Uh-huh.
sentence is plural, they're still singular. Okay. Can we move on? Everyone on earth, more than one person, billions of people, in fact. The word everyone, however, still means singular. Beware of interrupting phrases. Now, interrupting phrase, all right, is a phrase that is a modifying phrase. Omar, what is a modifier? What's the modifier? What do modifiers do?
And I think it's necessary, you mean?
No, what do modifiers do? Mazan. What do modifiers do, Mazan? We said it a couple times today. Are you there, Amazon? Basil, what do modifiers do? Basil,
Yes, teacher. Yes.
what do modifiers do?
I don't know actually.
Anybody remember what modifiers do?
Give more information.
Give more information. Thank you, Rector. Remember, modifiers, all they do is give more information.
Daddy.
Teacher, can you spell it so I can write it?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat box for you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. All they mean, you're going to hear that word a lot. Is this a fancy word that means give more information? Remember, How many types of modifiers can we have, Musab? How many types of modifiers can we have, Musab? Mohammed, how many types of modifiers can we have? Oh, Musab, there you go, Musab. How many types of modifiers can we have?
Maybe 2.
Two. And Mohammed, those two, what are those two types of modifiers? You there? You with me, Mohammed?
I don't know, man.
What are the two types of modifiers? Shahad?
Modifiers completed and incompleted.
What's the two types of modifiers? Begins with a R.
Singular and plural.
Oh, not singular and plural.
Mm,
All right, Ragda,
completed on
what's the two types of modifiers?
Restrictive,
Yes. And what?
unrestricted, restrictive.
Restrictive and non-restrictive.
Yes.
Remember, all that means is necessary and unnecessary. Okay. All right. So interrupting phrases, they're phrases that are not necessary. We call them interrupting phrases. And every time you see, you know an interrupting phrase because it will have two commas. Remember, we talked about the two commas and everything being in the two commas is not necessary. So you can have interrupting clauses and you can have interrupting phrases. Now remember, a phrase is just a modifier that doesn't have a subject and a verb. Okay? Phrases don't have subjects and verbs. So in a phrase, you will you won't see, it won't have a subject or it won't have a verb. Most phrases will not have verbs. Okay. What qualify most phrases is that they do not have verbs. All right, write that down in your notes. Most phrases will not have verbs. Okay. And again, we know an interrupting phrase because it will have the two commas between them. All right. So here's some other indications, as well as along with, together with, including, in addition to, especially. The squirrel, as well as the pigeons, keep an eye on Sammy, the sneaky cat. The squirrel, as well as the pigeon. All right. Now, let me see who's super smart. Is this question, is this sentence correct? The squirrel, as well as the pigeons, keep an eye on Sammy, the sneaky cat. Is that sentence correct? Anybody want to take a shot?
What is the sentence?
Right here, the squirrel as well as the pigeons keep an eye on Sammy, the sneaky cat. Is that sentence correct? Is that subject verb agreement correct?
I think it's not correct.
Why isn't it correct? What word is wrong? Fix it.
The wrong at as well as, I think.
Jude Ali, how do we fix that? Go ahead, Jude.
No, correct. I will add is keeps
Perfect. Outstanding. Good job. Super smart, nerdy, nerdy, nerd, English nerd. That's right. Why? Because as well as pigeons, it's not necessary. The main subject here is squirrel. The squirrel keeps an eye on Sammy, the sneaky cat. The as well as pigeons is not necessary. So we can erase that. We can delete that from that clause. That's what we call an interrupting phrase. Now, sometimes some authors will let us know again by putting 2 commas before the as and after the pigeons, so we know for sure. But when they don't do that, it may start with words like, or phrases like as well as, along with, together with, including, in addition to, especially. So be mindful of those 2. Right. So you see how she took it out? Just take it out. Okay. Just take it out and then change it to keeps. We could take it out because this is non-restrictive. This is a non-restrictive phrase. Notice it's a phrase because there are no verbs. Phrases do not have verbs. Okay, keep that in mind. Phrases do not have verbs. So we can read it without this interrupting phrase. The squirrel keeps an eye on Sammy, the sneaky cat. Very good, Jude. Excellent, Jude. Beware of inverted word order. And inverted just means that the word order is swapped, changed. All right. Here is the onions you need for the chili. In the refrigerator is the jalapeno peppers you might want to add. Okay. Here is the onions. Now, let's take this down your notes. This is a very important one. Everybody take this down. This is extremely important in your notes. There, T-H-E-R, T-H-E-R-E, rather, T-H-E-R-E, here, or any inverted word order where the subject doesn't come first. No, let me just keep it simple. There, because there is a popular one. Okay. There, here, they're never subjects. T-H-E-R-E is never a subject. Okay. There is my pen. There is my pen. There is my mother. There is my mother. There is not the subject of the sentence. The word that comes after the verb is the subject for T-H-E-R-E and normally H-E-R-E. So there can never be the subject of a sentence. The subject will come after the verb. There is my pen. So my pen is the subject. There is my mother. My mother would be the subject. Okay? Take that down in your notes. There and here is never the subject of a sentence. The word after or the noun after the verb is the subject. Y'all learning some good English today, by the way. There and here are never subjects. The word or the noun after the verb is the subject. So in this case, let's see who's super smart. Regda.
Yes.
Let's look at, here is the onions you need for the chili. Is that correct? Here is the onions you need for the chili?
Yes, I think it's correct.
Really? What did I just say?
Here is the onions.
But what did I say? What was the explanation I just gave you?
That there and here, not subject.
Right.
Yes.
And the subject is what word?
Onions, maybe.
Yes. So is that sentence correct if onions is the subject?
No, no, it's not correct.
So what should it be?
Should be onion is maybe.
So read that sentence correctly now. Here, here,
The onions.
here, give me a verb. Here,
Are.
here are. Here are
Yes,
the
yes,
onions.
are.
Here are the onions you need for the chili.
Yes,
Make
yes.
sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Shahad, try the second one.
Yes.
In the refrigerator is the jalapeno peppers you might want to add.
Um.
This is also
Is no. Is before the jalapeno are wrong. We will add R because
yes,
peppers plural.
yes, very good. So read it for me correctly.
And the okay, and the French. Can you read that?
In the
Okay,
refrigerator,
yeah. The definition are the jalapeno peppers you might want to add.
perfect, perfect, because that's an inversion too. Because in that sentence, jalapeno peppers is the subject. Or are the well, jalapeno peppers is the subject. Okay. Very good. You guys are getting it. Here are the onions. All right. That's we call that an inversion when the subject doesn't come first and when you have an order like this. We call that inversion. We speak a lot like that in normal speech. All right. But you will hear people, you will hear native speakers mess that up. All right. So you're learning something that even native speakers don't really know. Okay. Or many native speakers don't know. All right. It's 2:18. What I'll do, yeah, before we do that, let's take a break. It's 2:20 now. I've worked you hard. Man, I gave you so much information. So let's take it's 2:20 now. Let's come back. Let's take a 25-minute break. Let's come back at 2:45 because I worked you so hard for over an hour and 10 minutes. So come back. I think my math is right. 20, yeah, that'd be good. So come back at 2:45. All right, are there any questions? Just take a break, relax. After we come back from the break, we're gonna take a quick little test. Not test, but just a refresher on what we covered. And then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so 2:45, we'll come back. Any questions? All right, we'll see you at 2:45.
Thank you.
يا اخوان، في احد موجود؟ عندي استفسار بسيط، اللي موجود بالله يرد علي بماي كل شيء. الو يا اخوان، في احد موجود؟ الو. طيب،
هلا.
شو اسمه ذا، في واجبات يحطها الدكتور وكذا يعني، ولا زي امس وكذا؟ يعني في واجبات باستمرار يحطها ونقدر نحلها
آه. أمس ما كان واجب، أتوقع كان زي التدريب. إذا في شيء بيعلمنا آخر الحصة.
طيب يا اخي، شوف يا اخي، في جزئية كبيرة من الكلام هو قاعد يهرج، انا ماني فاهم ايش قاعد يقول اصلا. فايش تقترح يا اخي؟
والله تراني زيك.
لا لا،
أفهم.
بس انا متيقن، انا اسوء منك، متيقن. اكلم الدكتور اجيه خاص ولا ماني فاهم. احيانا يناديني احس بيقول لي تراي يعني محاول مره اخرى، ما ترى احيانا. فما أدري، ترى مره يعني الموضوع وصل مواصيل الصراحه.
والله عاد
أه،
ما
تشوف
أدري.
انه تشوف انه اكلمه في الخاص افضل ولا ايش؟
كلم أسد شوف.
هو في الوقت موجود.
إيه موجود.
حلو. والله ضروري اشوف له دبر باقي شهر. يلا يعطيك العافيه يا زهران.
عافيك.
تسلم، سلام عليكم.
Right. Are we all back? Are we all back?
Yeah.
All right. So let's, we went through the rules for subject verb agreement. So let's let's take a short little refresher to see what we remembered. All right. In the cabinet is the tools that you need, that you will need to unclog the bathroom sink. I have found that a plunger and a prayer often do the trick. Anybody want to tell me which one is the right answer? All right, Caddy.
A, change S to R.
All right. So you're following the inversion rule. And you're correct. Very good job, Caddy. Extremely good job. In the cabinet are the tools. All right, that's the inversion rule. Very good job, Caddy. Let's go to number 2. Here are the books that Thomas and Darlene need for their research. And here is the earplugs that you are required once they both doze off in boredom and start snoring. All right, Rector.
R, B,
D. Very good. That's that here rule, right? There and here rule I told you about. Also call it the there and here rule. So very good. Jasmine and Rodney have decided to double the number of cupcakes that they are baking, since everyone loves moist cake and chocolate frosting. Anyone want to try this one?
A.
Rodney, and does everyone think it's A?
No.
Jude Ali?
Loves C.
Loves C. Very good. Remember, it's to everyone, right? Loves C. Remember, we said every time we said everyone, it's going to be singular. Very good, Jude. Outstanding. Item 4. Not only those students, but also their professor look forward to the final exam. Everyone has exciting vacation plans that start next Monday. All right, Rector.
looks,
Good. What rule is that?
coordinator,
The not only, but also rule, right? So remember, not only,
Yes.
but also. Yep. So professor, so it should be looks. Very good. Remember, either or, neither nor, not only, but also, the last subject takes on the verb, the form of the verb. In this case, professor is singular, so it's going to be looks. Very good. Outstanding. I'm happy. You guys are learning subject verb agreement. At the pet store, each iguana, mouse, and gerbil try to climb the walls of its cage, of its glass cage, while humans hover outside like giant predators who are ready to strike. Anyone want to try this one?
Tries.
Who's that? Jada tries?
Yes.
Why is it tries, Jada?
Because each.
Very good. Outstanding. 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 I'm so happy. Number 6. Tyrone, as well as his cousins, hope that grandma brings her famous brownies and peach pie that drip with generous scoops of vanilla ice cream. Anyone want to try this one? Anybody want to try this one? All right, Omar.
A, hopes.
And why is it hopes?
Because there's two comma and as well as.
Yep, yep. So everything, notice this time they put the commas, the 2 commas. So it tells you, you can just get rid of that. So the main subject is Tyrone, right? So Tyrone hopes, right? Tyrone hopes.
Yeah.
Very good. Outstanding, man. Man. I'm so impressed with you guys. I am so impressed. All right. 7. Either the dogs or the cat sleep on the bed while everyone is out. Lorraine always finds an indentation in the center of her comforter. Anyone want to try this one? Oh, we got, let's see, Shahad. Let's go with Shahad this time.
A, sleeps.
And
Because
why is
either
it-
or.
There you go. Either or. So the cat is the one's closest, right? So the cat is singular, so that means it should be sleeps. Very good, man. You guys are super smart. All right, what about this one? This is a long sentence. Morel, together with her friends Beatrice and Lurvine, plans a trip for ice cream. For these women have discovered that the calories is worth seeing Theo scoop their servings with his muscular arms. Who wants to try this one? Rector? This one's harder.
R.
So C,
R. Yes.
I think you're right. Yes, C, yes, the answer is C, R. All right, because Morel plans, that's right. These women have, that's right. Calories are, it's more than 1 calorie, so it needs to be plural. Very good, Rector. All right, the scissors are sharp, so neither the cousins nor Timmy is allowed to play with them, even when the boys needs to finish a school project. Anyone want to try this one? Rector again? All right, go ahead, Rector.
C.
See, I think you're right, because scissors are, that's correct, and Timmy is neither nor, and Timmy is the closest one Timmy is, that's right. But boys, no, boys is plural, so we need a plural verb, need. So you're right, C. Very good. And then item 10. Each fork, spoon, and knife are scarred from the disposal since Drew refuses to check the drain before he throws the switch. All right, Mazan.
A.
A, you're right, because it's each spoon, each fork, spoon, and knife. So it's A, is. Each fork, spoon, and knife is because of the word each. Well, you guys are outstanding. Now you guys know subject verb agreement. Give yourself a round of applause. And subject verb agreement is not easy, but you guys did an excellent job. Excellent job. You guys should be proud of yourself. Some of those rules even teachers don't know. All right, especially the either or, neither nor, not only but also rule. A lot of teachers don't know that rule. Okay, it's a very, 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 very good. So I'm gonna put this slide up in the Google Classroom so you guys can refer back to it in the future. Remember, the Google Classroom will be up always. So even after this summer program is finished, you'll still have access to the Google Classroom. All right. Ragda, you had a question?
No, I don't.
All right, let's change pace a little bit. We did our sentences for today. So let's go back to tomorrow, by the way. I think I'm going to focus on capitalization afterwards. But let's go back to our story, The Pedestrian. Now, yesterday we did an easier story, just so you can get the basics of reading comprehension. But let's go back to that harder high school level. The Pedestrian, I think I read The Pedestrian. I want to say I read The Pedestrian in 10th grade in high school. Or did I read it in college? I either read it in high school or I read it the first 2 years in college. I can't remember. But it's definitely a text that you should get to know. So I know it's a little bit hard. Okay. But after let's see, after but I know The Pedestrian is a little bit hard, but and it might be a little confusing, but try to understand what's going on because that's the level you need to know. Okay. Okay. Let's go here. Let's go back to The Pedestrian. Now, I believe everyone, or most, I've asked you guys to listen to the audio. How many people, raise your hand if you listen to the audio? Raise your hand if you listen to the audio for The Pedestrian.
Teacher, about homework?
Yes, remember last week? So raise your hand if you listen to that audio for The Pedestrian. Shahad. All right. Try to, if you haven't listened, Jude, if you haven't listened, try to listen tonight. Okay. So I really want you
I'm
guys to,
listening. Okay, can you repeat your question? Because I'm listening and ask you in WhatsApp.
no, actually, whether you listen to the audio version of The Pedestrian, I posted it in the Google Classroom. Okay. All right, so let's read. I think where did we stop? I think we stopped at the third paragraph. No, the second. We stopped at the end of the second paragraph. So let's read that. It says to enter out into that sound. Well, let's go back and just a reminder. Remember that we have this man, and the year is what year is it in this story? What is the year the story sets? What's the year the story sets? Anybody remember? It's the setting of the story. Do you know what I mean by setting?
2053.
2053. 2053. Okay. So when someone asks you what's the setting of a story, the setting is where the story takes place. Okay. And you can have different settings. Normally the authors or the question refers to where the story mainly takes place. Okay. So this story mainly takes place in the future of 2053. Now, mind you, Ray Bradbury, the author, wrote this story when? When did he write this story?
1951.
1951. So he is predicting 102 years in the future, right? 1951. Yep, that was 102 years into the future, right? 102 years into the future. All right, so this is how he thinks 100 years later would look from his time. All right. Now remember, 1951, that's the year my mother was born. So that's probably the year most of your grandparents were born, I'm assuming. Your grandparents or your great-grandparents, probably 1950, probably your grandparents, but in some cases, your great-grandparents. Okay. And in some cases, your fathers, some of you, and mothers, some of you, but most of you, your grandparents or grandparents were born in that time period. So that's a long time ago. That was 70 years ago. 70, what, 2 years ago, 73 years ago? So, so that was a long time ago. So Ray Bradbury, the author, he's predicting what he believes the future will look like. All right. And it sets in 2053. And we have our main character. What is the name of our main character?
Leonard.
Leonard. What's his last name? What's Leonard's last name? Yes, Shahad. Mead. So we have Mr. Leonard Mead. And what does Mr. Mead like to do? Can anybody tell me what does Mr. Mead like to do? Rector?
Walking in the street at the midnight.
Yes, he likes to walk at night. Right? And as he walks, what does he compare what he sees to? What does he compare?
I think the houses as a graveyard.
Yes. He sees
And the
scene.
windows as the tombs.
Yes. So the houses as tombs. So he sees the land as a graveyard, the houses as tombs. The windows are allows him to see into the tombs. What are the people? What are the people?
Ghosts.
Ghosts. He
Yes.
calls them phantoms, but phantoms are ghosts, right? So let's read the first two paragraphs. It says, to enter out into that silence that was the city at 8 o'clock of a misty evening in November, to put your feet upon that buckling concrete walk, to step over grassy seams and make your way hands in pockets, through the silences. That was what Mr. Leonard Mead most dearly loved to do. He would stand upon the corner of an intersection and peer down long moonlit avenues of sidewalk in 4 directions, deciding which way to go, but it really made no difference. He was alone in this world of AD 2053, or as good as alone. And with a final decision made, a path selected, he would stride off, sending patterns of frosty air before him, like the smoke of a cigar. Sometimes he would walk for hours and miles and return only at midnight to his house. And on his way, he would see the cottages and homes with dark windows. And it was not unequal to walking through a graveyard where only the faintest glimmers of firefly light appears and flickers behind the windows. Sudden gray phantoms seem to manifest upon inner room walls, where a curtain was still undrawn against the night, or there were whisperings and murmurs where a window in a tomb-like building was still open. Third paragraph. Mr. Leonard Mead will pause, cock his head, listen, look, and march on, his feet making no noise on the lumpy walk. For long ago, he had wisely changed to sneakers when strolling at night, because the dogs in intermittent squads will parallel his journey with barkings if he wore hard heels. And lights might click on, and faces appear, and the entire street be startled by the passing of a lone figure, himself, in the early November evening. Okay, that third paragraph. What's going on in the third paragraph? Can anybody tell me what's mainly going on in the third paragraph?
uh, uh, I didn't يعني understand well this paragraph, لكن but I know some I translate some كلمة وش يعني. I translate some word in this paragraph. Like march on. I translate it, and strolling.
So
yes,
so
like this.
March on and strolling, what does that mean?
March on, like front of, you know, إلى الأمام تقدم. I mean go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, walk. Yeah, go walking, go.
Yeah, yes. And strolling mean
walking.
Strolling
means
yes.
walking.
Move.
Strolling along.
Yes.
Walking, not fast, but walking kind of slowly, casually.
Yes.
Anything else going on? Anything else is going on in this paragraph?
Just this.
Why did Mr. Leonard Mead have to change his shoes?
Because of the dogs.
The dogs were doing what?
Follow him.
And barking at him, right? The dogs were barking at him, right?
Yes.
Mhm. And he changed his shoes from what to what? He changed his shoes from what to what?
From a shoes with heels to a sneaker.
Yes. So from hard bottom shoes to soft shoes, sneakers.
هنا ترى
And what would happen when the dog started barking? What would happen when the dog started barking? Can anyone tell me what would happen when the dog started barking?
you ask me teacher دكتور sorry
Anyone. What would happen when the dog started barking?
that's what
What would happen when the dog started barking? Yes, Jude Ali.
If you hear the sound of walking,
Mhm. So when the dog started barking, what happened? Didn't the people come outside to see what the dogs were barking at?
Yes.
Says in the last line, and he says, and lights. Well, let's go back because the dogs and intermittent squads rather, would parallel his journey with barkings if he wore hard heels, and lights might click on and faces appear, and an entire street be startled by the passing of a lone figure himself in the early November evening. So when he had to wear his sneakers, tennis shoes, soft bottom shoes, because if he didn't, the dogs would start barking and following him, and then the people would be startled. What does startled mean?
what is the question
What is startled? Startled.
what startled
What is this word right here? STARTLED. What does startled mean? STARTLED. What is startled?
something amazed stun like this
Something that scares you, right? It scares you.
right
Right?
right
Yes, it scares you.
oh
Amazed.
Say that again.
Amazed.
It's not amazed. Startled. It could be amazed, but
Dangerous.
here in this context, it means scared. Like if I jump out and said, boo, right? You would get startled. You would go, right? Woo, whoa, right? That's startled.
yeah, surprise yes
Surprise. That's a good word. Surprise. Okay. So now, so this man walks. He had to change his shoes because he didn't want to wake people up late at night, and because he didn't want the dogs barking. Let's look at paragraph 4. Before we move on to paragraph 4, any other words you do not understand in paragraph 3? Any other words you do not understand in paragraph 3?
no I don't I don't I think no there is all clear بإذن الله it's
What
all
about
clear
what about this word intermittent? You see this word here, intermittent. intermittent? What does intermittent mean? Anyone know?
I think to be like this, yeah. To be or broken or yeah, like this. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Broken up. That's a good. Broken up.
okay.
Broken
Yes,
up.
yes.
Okay. That means intermittently means coming at different times. Broken up. The best example I can give you is, you know how when you turn your windshield wipers on in your car, right? You know the windshield wipers that go like this for the rain. Anybody know
Wiper?
the wipers,
Yes.
right? So different settings. Sometimes you can do the wipers like this, right? This is consistent or constant, right?
Yes.
But sometimes you can make the wipers go like this,
Ah,
right? This is
أيوه.
called intermittent.
Yes, yes.
Right?
In Arabic, متقطع. Yes, yes.
This is called intermittent. This is called constant.
What that constant?
Constant.
Like
Or,
constant.
or continuous. Constant or continuous. This is intermittent.
Broken, yes.
Broken. All right. So the squad of dogs would come intermittently. All right, let's look at no other words in paragraph 3. All right, let's look at paragraph 4.
Let's go.
On this particular evening, he began his journey in a westerly direction toward the hidden sea. There was a good crystal of frost in the air. It cut the nose and made the lungs blaze like a Christmas tree inside. He could feel the cold light going on and off, all the branches filled with invisible snow. He listened to the faint push of his soft shoes through autumn leaves with satisfaction. He whistled a cold, quiet whistle between his teeth, occasionally picking up a leaf as he passed, examining its skeletal pattern in the infrequent lamplights as he went on, smelling its rusty smell. All right. Jada, tell me what's going on here in this paragraph.
About his journey.
His journey,
And
yes.
describe what he feels.
Which direction is he going in?
Westerly direction.
Yeah, west. So he's heading west. All right. And what does it mean when he says his lungs blaze like a Christmas tree?
Light like a Christmas tree.
No, not light. It says there was a good cold crystal frost in the air. It cut the nose and made the lungs blaze like a Christmas tree inside. What does he mean by
Blaze not meaning light.
kind of like light, but blaze also means almost like burn.
Okay.
Almost like, see, you guys are in Saudi. You guys don't know what a real cold, like
We know the heat.
you know the heat, but you guys don't know when it's so cold. It's almost like the air is cutting you. The air is almost like cutting your nose and your ears and your feet and your fingers. it's so uncomfortable. All right. But sometimes but some people like it. I like it sometimes, and then sometimes I don't. It depends on my mood. I like it when it's cold sometimes. But then it gets too cold, you got to go inside. So here, when he's talking about, but when it's that cold, right? When it's that cold, what happens is when you breathe in, it almost like you can feel it inside. You can feel it inside of your chest and your lungs, that cold air. Some runners love to run in the cold because they feel like it makes them, it gives them it's nice for their lungs, right? While they're running, right? So the author is describing, using what we call imagery. The author is using imagery to describe, again, Mr. Leonard Mead's journey and his surroundings, what he's experiencing, all right? So we can put ourselves in his shoes, so we can know how it feels to be walking in the midnight cold air with these soft shoes on. Does, let's see, Muhammad. Muhammad. Hanan.
Yeah.
Does Mr. Mead like to walk on the leaves?
Okay.
Does Mr. Mead like to walk on the leaves?
Yes.
Yes, he does. He does like to walk on leaves. And because where does it say that he likes it? How do we know he likes to walk on the leaves? Let's look at the middle of the paragraph. He says, he listened right here in the middle of the. He listened to the faint push of his soft shoes through autumn leaves. All right, somebody mute your mic, please. He listened to the faint push of his soft shoes through autumn leaves with satisfaction. All right, so he likes to step on these leaves. So what happens in the autumn time in places that have autumn? What season is autumn? What's another name for autumn? Shahad?
The season come after summer.
Not after.
When the
Yes,
yeah,
after
after
sun.
summer.
After
Before
summer.
the winter,
Oh,
the trees for olives out of fill out.
They fall off the trees, right?
Yeah.
And before they
It's
fall,
become orange.
yes,
Orange.
they change different colors. They change orange and yellow and red, right? And then they fall off the trees. So what's another name for autumn? What's another name for autumn? Fall. Fall. And we call it fall because the leaves fall off the trees, right? So autumn or fall. Okay. All right. So so it's November. We know that because it says that, and he's walking as this autumn cold. Winter is soon approaching. All right. Next paragraph. Hello in there, he whispered to every house on every side as he moved. What's up tonight on Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9? Where are the cowboys rushing? And do I see the United States Cavalry over the next hill to the rescue? All right. Anybody know what's going on in paragraph, what's that, paragraph 5?
Yes, 5.
What's going on in paragraph 5? Can anybody tell me what's going on in paragraph 5?
The street was silent.
Street's silent, and he's doing what? He's talking to what? Who's he talking to when he says hello in there?
Nobody.
Right, he's talking to, yeah, he's really talking to nobody, but he's talking at the houses, right? Because nobody's listening and he's whispering. Says hello in there. What's going on? What's up tonight on Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9? Because he knows the people in the house are watching TV, right? So where are the cowboys rushing? And do I see the United States Cavalry over the next hill to the rescue? Because back in those days, cowboy movies and war movies were the popular movies, right? Paragraph 6, the street was silent and long and empty, with only his shadow moving like the shadow of a hawk in mid-country. If he closed his eyes and stood very still, frozen, he could imagine himself upon the center of a plain, a wintry, windless Arizona desert, with no house in 1,000 miles, and only dry riverbeds, the streets for company. All right. So what's going on in paragraph 7?
I think you mean there is no one in streets.
There's no one in the, it's deserted. There's no one there. All right. So it's almost like a desert, right? And there's nothing. There's no houses. That's what he can imagine, because it's so quiet. It's so deserted. Although there are people who live in the houses, there's no one on the street. Paragraph 8. What is it now? He asked the houses, noticing his wristwatch. 8:30 p.m. Time for a dozen assorted murders, a quiz, a review, a comedian falling off the stage. Here, he's just referring to what the people are watching on TV, right? Now, he believes the people are watching something on TV, right? Paragraph 9. Any words you don't understand in paragraph 8?
There is many words.
Paragraph 8.
Yes.
Omar, any words you don't understand?
Yes. Time for a dozen assorted murders.
So a dozen is 12. So if you get a dozen of donuts, that's 12. That's 12 donuts. So if you go to Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme and you ask for a dozen of donuts, that would be 12. So here, what he's referring to is murder mysteries, because again, back in those days, the children would go to sleep and the parents would watch like murder mystery shows. Okay, so he's referring to the types of TV shows: murder mysteries, quizzes, comedy reviews, okay, plays, sketches, musicals. Okay. Any other words you do not understand? All right, let's go to paragraph 9. Was that a murmur of laughter from within a moonlit house? He hesitated, but went on when nothing more happened. He stumbled over a particular uneven section of sidewalk. The cement was vanishing under flowers and grass. In 10 years of walking by night or day for thousands of miles, he had never met another person walking, not once in all that time. So what's going on in paragraph 9? What's happening in paragraph 9?
I think there is people in his area. I think.
Yeah, so what he's saying is in 10 years, right, Jada? 10 years. 10 years, what? What happened? What has never happened in 10 years, Jada? Or okay, Rector. Rector, what has never
I've
happened?
never seen anyone walking.
Never in 10 years. He's never seen anyone else walking. This is not good. All right. And what did he trip over? He stumbled over something. Why did he stumble? Why did he stumble? Jude Bagash, I haven't heard from you today. Why did Mr. Mead stumble? Jude Bagash.
Yes.
Why did Mr. Mead stumble? Why did he stumble?
I don't know.
Can anybody tell me why Mr. Mead stumbled? What does stumble mean?
English?
Shahad, what
Fall.
does stumble?
Fall.
right.
Maybe the cement was vanishing under flowers and grass.
Right, so basically, the street was uneven. The sidewalk was uneven. So he stumbled. And when you stumble, you don't fall, you almost fall. So when you stumble,
Yeah.
you almost, okay? You don't completely fall to the ground, you almost fall. All right? But the main idea here is that after 10 years of walking, he never sees anyone. Let's go to paragraph 10. He came to a clover leaf intersection, which stood silent, where two main highways crossed the town. During the day, it was a thunderous surge of cars. The gas stations open, a great insect bus rustling and ceaseless jockeying for positions as the scabbard beetles, a faint incense puttering from their exhaust, skimmed homeward for the directions. But now these highways, too, were like streams in a dry season, all stone and bed and moon radiance. So what is he saying here? What's going on in paragraph 10? Anybody can tell me what's going on in paragraph 10? Caddy,
Yes.
all right. So when he's walking, he comes to what? What does he come to? He came to a what? What does it say in the first line? He came to a clover leaf intersection?
Yes.
What's an intersection? What's an intersection?
I don't know what is mean.
An intersection is the point in which two lines meet. We call that an intersection. Okay. The point in which two lines meet. So at an X, that point will be the intersection. So a clover leaf intersection would be How many leaves does a clover leaf have? Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 4, right? Clover leaves have 4 leaves or 5 leaves? I think it has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Clover leaf. Let me make sure. I think it's 5. Clover leaf. It's 4 or 5. I'm having a brain cramp. I think it's 5. Clover leaf, yeah. No, clover leaf is 4. I'm sorry. Well, but no, it could be 3 too. So a clover leaf, it could be 3 or 4. Okay, so it's clover leaf could either be 3 or 4, but all that means is probably 4, right? Because if you have an intersection, right, there's normally 4 angles that an intersection makes. So an intersection normally makes 4 angles. And all this means is that when you're at the street or you come to a stop sign or a stoplight, that's an intersection. Okay. And it's normally four directions in which the car is coming. East, north, south, east, and west. Okay. Depending on how the road is made. Okay. Regda, what metaphor, remember we talked about metaphors last week. What metaphor does the author use here?
The clover leaf.
Uh-huh. Yes, so he's comparing the street to a clover leaf. Very good. What other metaphors do you see in that paragraph? Aren't he comparing people to insects? The great insect rustling, right? The scabbard beetle, right? So that's so we see people being compared to insects, right? And what is he really trying to say? Why is he comparing insects to people or people to insects? Put your thinking caps on. Why is he comparing people to insects? Can anybody tell me? Think. Why is he comparing people to insects? Look at the second sentence. During the day, it was a thunderous surge of cars. The gas stations open. A great insect rustling and a ceaseless jockeying for position as the skirt beetles, a faint incense puttering from their exhaust, skimp homeward to the far directions. What is he trying to say here? That during the day, remember in the last paragraph, who did he see? He didn't see anyone, right? Right, Regda?
Yes, you're right.
No one, so in the last paragraph, he saw no one at night in 10 years. In 10 years, he's seen no one at night. But during the day, what do you see?
You see a lot.
You see a lot of people.
Yes.
It's very busy during the day. So like, again, I think this is a hard concept for people in the Middle East to understand, even in Asia, all of Asia, because most Asian countries and Middle Eastern countries are night cultures, right? So people stay up at night, 11 o'clock, 12
Yes.
o'clock. In the mall, 12 o'clock midnight, people in the mall, right?
Right.
12 o'clock, people in the mall, walking and shopping. And that's what you normally see in night cultures. Same thing if you go to Thailand or Indonesia. like very Asian countries and Middle Eastern countries, they're night cultures, mainly because it's so hot during the day. Historically, people would like to move at night. Makes sense? But if you go to other cultures like America, at night, people are asleep, right? So like, for instance, if you take New York City, even New York City, the city that doesn't sleep, right? They call New York the city that doesn't sleep. However, it's not as busy. New York City is not as busy at night as it is during the day. It's probably not a good example. Or let's go even, let's say Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. during the day, busy, traffic everywhere. But at night, sometimes you see no one walking at night. You see very little cars. All right. And that's how it is for most cities in America, except like LA and New York. LA, people don't go to sleep in LA. New York is, you see a lot, but again, it's not as busy at night. And that's the point the author is trying to make here, is that during the day, it's very busy, but at night you see no one. Okay. All right. So at night, he says he walks at night. In 10 years, for 10 years, he never seen anyone else walking. But during the day, you see people are like insects all over the place, like ants, all over the place during the day. All right. Let's do one more. Let's finish this page off. He turned back on a side street, circling around. He turned back on a side street, circling around toward his home. He was within a block of his destination when the lone car turned a corner quite suddenly and flashed a fierce white cone of light upon him. He stood entranced, not unlike a night moth, stunned by the illumination, and then drawn toward it. Can anybody tell me what that is? Who that is in that car? Can anybody guess who that is in that car? The car follows him, right? And flashes a light on him. Who's that in the car, Shahad?
Maybe a policeman.
Yeah, police. I think it's the police. Seems like something the police would do. And why do you think the police is flashing the light on him? Based on what we,
Because he think it's like someone weird, like will feet or
it's weird.
at midnight. Yeah, it's weird. Then also it's midnight. Who's walk in the street?
Right, right. Especially because the author has told us that Mr. Mead never sees anyone in 10 years, right? So this police is
Yes.
probably seeing this guy Mr. Mead walking and saying, "This is strange. I got to see what's going on." So he flashes that big floodlight at Mr. Mead. A metallic voice called to him, "Stand still. Stay where you are. Don't move." He halted. "Put your hands up." Mr. Mead says, "But," he said, "your hands up or we'll shoot." The police, of course, but what a rare, incredible thing. In a city of 3 million, there was only one police car left. Wasn't that correct? Ever since a year ago, 2052, the election year, the force had been cut down from 3 cars to 1. save for this one lone car wandering and wandering the empty streets. Mr. Mead is not lucky, is he? Right? So there's only one police car in a whole big city of 3 million people. 3 million people, that's a big city. That's a huge city. 3 million people, and there's only one police car. And Mr. Mead's luck is not good because tonight he gets pulled over by the police. Your name, said the police car in a metallic voice whisper. Now remember, Trad, what is the police, what are they talking to? Or what do you think they're speaking to? Trad, what do you think the police are speaking to? Can anybody tell me what the let me ask you this question. Has the police stepped out, has the police officer stepped out of the car? Has the police officer stepped out of the car? Yes, no, maybe so. Anyone? Can you guess?
Can you ask it in another way?
Okay, so the police stops Mr. Mead, right?
Right.
Did they leave their car? Did the officer, did the human being, or did the police officer leave his car?
Yes, I think.
No. Why do we know this? It says metallic whisper, right? So he's speaking through what? He's speaking through the car speaker, right? So he's speaking, the officer has
Yes.
not left the car. He's speaking through the speaker. And we know this because it says metallic whisper. He didn't come out of the car. Your name, said the police car. Look at what the author uses. The author does not say police officer. The author says what? Police what?
Car.
Car. The car is talking. Now, mind you, keep in mind, this is supposed to be the future, 2053. So the car is talking to him. All right. Your name, said the police car in a metallic whisper. He couldn't see the men in it for the bright lights in his eyes. So he can't see inside the car because the car is flashing bright lights in his eyes, so he can't see inside the car. Your name, said the police car in a metallic whisper. He couldn't see the men in it for the bright lights in his eyes. Leonard Mead, he said. Speak up, Leonard Mead. Business or profession? I guess you'd call me a writer. No profession, said the police car. That's funny. So the police car asked him what? He wants to know what he does for work. What does Mr. Mead say? What is Mr. Mead's profession?
Writer.
The police car says what?
No profession.
The police car is being funny, right? Oh, you don't have a real job. That's not a real job. A writer, that's not a real job. Right? All right. No profession, said the police car, as if talking to itself. The light held him fixed like a museum specimen, needle thrust through chest. You might say that, said Mr. Mead. He hadn't written in years. Magazines and books didn't sell anymore. Everything went on in the tomb-like houses at night now. He thought continuing his fancy. The tombs ill lit by television light, where the people sat like the dead, the gray or multicolored lights touching their faces, but never really touching them. So let's stop. We're going to stop there for a second. I'm going to ask you a question. So far, what do you think the author is saying about the future and people? What do you think the author is saying about the future and people? Anyone? Now think about it for a second. This police car has pulled Mr. Mead over. Well, let's start from the beginning. Mr. Mead is walking. He's walking in the cold. As he walks, he envisions that the houses, the neighborhoods are like graveyards. The houses are like tombs. The people in the houses are like phantoms, ghosts. As he walks, he almost criticizes the people and say, what's going on Channel 9? What's going on Channel 7? Are you having fun watching your murder mysteries, your game shows, your quiz shows, your reviews? Right? Also, he says in 10 years, he's never seen anybody outside walking at night. In 10 years. And now he has this police car. How many police cars are there in a city of 3 million? What was the number?
One.
One? One police car, 3 million people? One? So what is now also, this one police car pulls him over. The officers do not get out of the car. They're talking to him in what the author says, a metallic whisper, like a robot. Like a robot. What is the author saying about the future? Rector?
I think he thinks that the people will be closed. They will not communicate together or anything.
Right. So remember, this was written in what year? What year was this written? What year was this written, the story written? 1951. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Ray Bradbury was correct? Do you think the author was correct?
Yes.
Because now what do? We may not, we look at our televisions and we look at what? Your smartphone, right? We take the smartphone, we go what? Right? Like ghosts on our smartphones, right? That the screen, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're like ghosts. We're like ghosts. We don't talk to each other. Sir? Last week,
Right.
last week I was in the house, my wife, my daughter, my son. Guess what we all doing? We're in the room together. We're in the living room together. Guess what we all doing? Right?
On the phone?
Everybody's on their phone or laptop. Nobody's talking to each other. Not for 5 minutes, not for 10 minutes. This went on for like 3 hours. We all like this. Until I said, hold on a second. We're not talking to each other. Everybody turn the computers off. So is Ray Bradbury correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I think he is. He may not have known that we would have these little TV screens called smartphones. He thought it was going to be the television. And the funny thing about it is some people are addicted to the television. I know some people, they wake up, they brush their teeth, they have breakfast, and they sit down. If they don't go to work, they sit down and they watching what? Television. From morning all the way at night, television. Television, television, television. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Paramount, television, television, television. Like this, like zombies. What did the author call the people in the houses? What did he call them?
Zombies.
Ghosts. Right?
Ghost.
Right? This ghost just looking at the screen, looking at the phone. How many times are you on, think about it. How many times are you on TikTok? How many hours are you on TikTok or minutes? You just go like this with your finger. You just sit there 1 minute, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. You just sitting there. Like a ghost. All right, all right. I think we had a good session today. I think we had a really good session. We learned a lot.
Yes.
All right. Subject verb agreement. You guys did very well in subject verb agreement. You learned the rules. Make sure you keep those notes with you when you go to your English classes, when you write papers, when you go to write papers this semester, those notes that you're taking now is going to help you big time. You could be like, oh, especially in November when you take your exams, you can be like, oh, I love Mr. Ray. He helped me. Oh, he helped me big time. When you're taking that quiz or you're taking that exam, you go, oh, that is restrictive. No comma. That can't be the right answer because there's a comma in front of that. Oh, Mr. Ray is the man. All right. All right. I want you to do 5 read theories tonight. Do 5 read theories tonight. All right. So log on to read theory. Do 5 of them. Hopefully,
Doctor,
yes.
sorry. Is this a homework or practice?
This is practice. This is practice. I want you to get in the habit of doing them 5 times a day. Just do 5 quizzes a day. Trust me, if you do them every day for the next 2-3 months, it's gonna be easy for you in English. English, not only English, but other classes when you get to university. Trust me. Okay. It's gonna be very good for you. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Make sure you do your sign in attendance for hour 3. Make sure you do hour 1, 2, and 3. I will post this video in the next hour or 2 onto the Google Classroom. Any questions?
No.
No questions. We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Masalama. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.